So, Trump rides in big, beautiful, mega garbage truck after Biden attack on his supporters. Essentially, Biden called Trump supporters garbage. So, Trump decided, let's feed the flames, make a big issue out of it, make a stunt to keep it in everybody's mind until the election. Because obviously, people don't like being called garbage. And even if you yourself are not a Trump supporter, you may well have friends or family who are, and you might take offense at them being attacked this way. Just because they're your political opponents doesn't mean you get to call them all disgusting names like Hillary did, and we'll get to that in the article too. Former President Donald Trump was greeted at Wisconsin Airport Wednesday by a big, beautiful Make America Great Again garbage truck. How do you like my garbage truck? Trump, who was wearing an orange safety vest, asked reporters while sitting in the passenger seat. And the truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden. And you can see the Make America Great Again garbage truck and Trump with the orange vest. And the stunt comes one day after President Biden, 81, referred to Trump supporters as garbage on a campaign call at the White House, denouncing comments made by comic Tony Hinchcliffe in which he called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage at the Republican nominee's Madison Square Garden rally on Sunday. So, this guy, Tony Hinchcliffe, is apparently a roast comedian. He is basically making edgy jokes at the expense of people and groups, I suppose. And that's his whole shtick. Obviously, he was criticizing the shape Puerto Rico is in terms of, the amount of trash they have all over the place. Not necessarily calling the people there any sort of name. Pointing out that, public order or cleanliness are bad in a place doesn't necessarily mean you hate the people living there. I'm sorry. And the entire trick the Democrats are trying to pull is, well, this was clearly an attack, a racist attack on Latinos, and clearly backed by Trump because Trump is racist. That's their entire campaign. Trump is racist, sexist, homophobe, etc., etc. I have not seen him actually say anything racist against any of these groups. And if you actually go and see the context of any of the quotes that the Democrats are trying to, how to put it, jury rig to prove that, you'll find that they're out of context, if not an outright lie. For example, I remember that he was calling the gangs on the border that, harassed the migrants coming in, like animals or something similar. And then immediately the Democratic Party tried to spin it as if he was actually attacking all Latinos, which is definitely what he did not do. He was specifically talking about, I believe, MS-13 or gangs in general. He was not talking about Latinos, but they keep lying and they're still on air because rules for thee, but not for me. So, quote, the only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonizations of Latinos is unconscionable and it's un-American, Biden said during a call with Voto Latino Group as Vice President Kamala Harris rallied at the nearby Ellipse in Washington, D.C., stressing how the Democratic Party would unify the country. Yeah, right. You unified the country already against you. Like 90% of people believe that the economy is bad and that the country is on the wrong track, which is kind of similar to what happened in Britain with Labour coming into power, and before they even managed to go through the first 100 days, which is like the honeymoon period for most governments, they already unified the country against them too. Everybody hates left-wing politicians because they promise their supporters essentially that we're not racist, sexist, etc., but the other guy totally is, so vote for us to save the country. And then they do awful stuff against the people of the country. They enact policies that don't work, that make public safety bad, that destroy the economy, and then they claim they've been successful gaslighting you, or they blame it all on the opposition despite the fact that they are in power. Either way, they are very good at unifying the people in agreeing that they are awful. So, Republicans blasted the insult and drew immediate comparisons to then Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton's remark in 2016 that half of Trump supporters should be put into a basket of deplorables. I believe she has recently stood behind those comments, basically saying that she was generous at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that happened in the last couple of weeks, months. Biden and the White House tried to temper the comment by editing the official transcript to put an apostrophe in supporters, suggesting the president was referring solely to Hinchcliffe. The commander-in-chief also tried to walk back the jab on X, writing his demonizations of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. You're being a coward, Biden. Stand behind your words. The Harris-Walz campaign also rushed out an ad tying Hinchcliffe's comments to the aftermath of Hurricane Maria in 2017, in which Harris narrated, "I will never forget what Donald Trump did. He abandoned the island and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults." So rich coming from the person who essentially is the de facto president right now, because Biden's obviously senile, and still has a DEI system for dealing with disaster relief and blocked volunteers. Essentially, the latest hurricane was dealt with so awfully, it's, in my opinion, criminal. And for Kamala Harris to criticize anyone else is hypocritical in the extreme. She's the last person who has any right to do so as far as through disaster relief goes. In fact, as far as I remember, Trump did a good job, and the places that actually had suffered from shortages were because the local government, which was Democratic, like left-leaning, held the relief from the federal government that Trump sent and stopped it in order to score political points. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So Trump distanced himself from Hinchcliffe, who drew widespread bipartisan backlash after his opening. When asked if he owes Puerto Rico an apology, Trump, while sitting in the garbage truck, claimed he didn't know anything about the comedian, and then professed his love for the Caribbean island, an unincorporated territory of the United States. "Nobody has done more for Puerto Rico than me. I took care of them when they had the big hurricanes. Nobody gets along better with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people than me. They love me and I love them," he said. "I don't know anything about the comedian. I don't know who he is. I heard he made a statement, but it's a statement that he made. He's a comedian, what can I tell you? You put comedians up, and I guess he went on early in the show." Hinchcliffe has since defended his controversial remark, insisting it was a joke. He's a comedian, of course it was a joke. The garbage truck is following the motorcade en route to Trump's Green Bay rally, where the former president will speak later tonight. I believe that, for example, San Francisco has a big problem with homeless people, needles on the streets, and people defecating on the streets. If you criticize that or made a joke about it, that doesn't mean that you hate the people living there. You're just pointing out a reality that's unusual and negative and making fun of it. That's perfectly normal and should be allowed. I don't think the comment made about Puerto Rico is necessarily an attack against the people living there. It's certainly not any criticism of the Latino race in general. That's just stupid. But even if you consider it an abhorrent joke, it's still a comedian and not Trump. And to try and make a leap of logic to say, well, a comedian that was invited to a Trump rally made an off-color joke about Puerto Rico, therefore Trump hates Latinos. I don't know what to tell you. That's just... it makes no sense. It's so illogical. If you tried to put that in like a logic course in a math degree, I'd like to see the proof for that. I wonder, how do you actually make the movement from a comedian invited to a Trump rally made an off-color joke about Puerto Rico to Trump hates all Latinos? Interesting. Anyway, I think the entire point of the garbage truck, how to put it, gimmick, is to keep it fresh in people's minds. Hey, Joe Biden hates anyone who doesn't vote for him, or Kamala in this case. He considers you all garbage. And I think you'll find that this is very... how to put it? It resonates with reality to a great extent. I watched a Shoonhead video yesterday. I don't usually, I almost never do in fact, but it appeared on my recommended page. Well, I decided to take a look at it. And it was about specifically the Democratic Party having trouble with men, young men especially, basically voting for them far less than they did in previous elections. and she brought up a sort of Twitter thread, like some Democratic Party official or whoever it was, some lefty, decided to say, hey, we have a problem, young men aren't voting for us. If we lose this election, we should take a long, hard look at how we message young men in order to get more of them to vote for us. And he was attacked to a great extent by his own supporters, like other left-wingers. And he tried to clarify and say that, no, I'm not saying that we should change our policy in any substantive way. I'm just saying that we should try and frame it better so that they like us more and want to vote for us. And even for that, he was attacked. Basically, they were all saying that the problem is young men, especially young white men, or white men in general, rather. And they are the toxic ones, they are the bad ones, the evil ones. They should be doing the work on themselves to stop being trash, essentially. And to pander to them, to even try and just reframe the messaging, to be less hostile and condescending, is immoral. It's unacceptable. It's taboo for the Democratic Party. That was the overwhelming sentiment in that thread. And it's just so indicative of the way that this election cycle and basically general politics for the last 10 years is moving, where the Democratic Party has decided whether you're good or evil based on your birth, based on your gender, your sexuality, your skin color, etc., your identity. And that's why it's called identity politics. And if you are in the group that they consider to be bad, then you have to take it. You have to sit down quietly, take all the criticisms, and say, yes, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry for being born, please hit me again. And if you don't, then you're excommunicated for the Democratic Party. And the top level politicians of the Democratic Party are refusing to toe the line on this because they know it's bad electorally. They know they won't get elected if they broadcast it. So all the institutions, for example, the media, the universities, big corporations, they all say it out loud. They all say it out loud. You have so many big corporations where basically they say, well, we want to hire blacks, Latinos, gays, women, etc. Everyone except the white man. Everyone except the straight white men, we want to hire those. We want to give them promotions, but don't promote the straight white men. It's obviously exceedingly racist. It shouldn't be legal. But they do it openly, and they say openly that they hate straight men, white men, men in general, white people in general. And only on the federal level political stage do you have people still pretending as though it's like 2010 or something in terms of rhetoric. This is a very thin veil to hide your racism and sexism. This is a very thin veil to hide your disdain and condescension to the people that you have decreed to be bad. And obviously it's not working anymore. That's why you have such a huge drop in the vote of men, in the vote of black men, in the vote of Latinos as well. They know you're lying to them. They know this is a pretense. They know you're not in their corner. They know you have nothing to offer. And Trump is just trying to keep that alive in people's heads by doing a funny shtick with the garbage truck. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is trying to edit history. I didn't say that. I didn't mean to say that. Yeah, right. This is your inner voice coming out. We had something similar in elections here in Israel, where a left-wing high party official was basically, I think he was a member of our parliament, the Knesset, I think, I don't remember. Anyway, so this guy decided it's a good idea to attack all Jews of Middle Eastern descent as superstitious and backwards. And then they lost the election, right? And he was criticized by his own party, not for what he said, but for saying it. Meaning, not for thinking badly and, in a racist manner against everyone who's of Middle Eastern descent in Israel, but rather for saying it out loud. Basically, how can we dupe them to vote for us if you say the quiet part out loud? Needless to say, things did not improve the next elections. People are not stupid. And they can tell when you hate them. You might be able to fool some people some of the time, but you can't keep going election cycle after another, basically condescending and demonizing entire swaths of the population and expect it to still keep voting for you. It doesn't make sense. It can't happen in reality, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. That's enough for now. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.